Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something huge, a really powerful idea that connects our own personal struggles with some of the biggest challenges facing the whole world. I mean, have you ever felt like you're just stuck between extremes? You know, that constant tug of war between your career and your personal life? Or maybe it's that internal battle between your head and your heart, logic versus emotion. It feels like we're always being pulled in opposite directions. Our world is just built on these opposites. But what if the goal isn't to pick a side and win? What if it's actually about finding a balance? In this explainer, we're going to explore this one single unifying idea from our sources, that real progress, real growth, it comes from harmonizing these forces, not forcing a choice between them. So let's dive in and see how this all plays out, starting right inside our own minds. Okay, so first up, we're going to look at the personal pendulum, basically how we all swing between these powerful inner forces. We're going to start by looking right inside ourselves at two fundamental life forces that our source material talks about, the active and the receptive. Okay, so what are these two core forces? The easiest way to think about them is like fire and water living inside of you. You've got the active principle, which is like fire. That's your drive, your ambition, the part of you that wants to take action and create structure. Then you've got the receptive principle, which is like water. This is your empathy, your creativity, your flexibility, the part of you that feels and connects. So what happens when these two forces start working against each other? Well, that's when we get into what's called pendulum mode. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It creates this inner conflict, right, where we swing wildly from one extreme to the other. Maybe one day you're super controlling and rigid, and the next you're just completely overwhelmed by emotions. You can't find that stable center. And the result? You guessed it, a whole lot of stress and, frankly, total exhaustion. And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at the difference here. When you're stuck in that pendulum mode, that imbalance leads to things like perfectionism, where your fire or your drive for control is constantly being undermined by your watery self-doubt, or burnout, or just plain old indecision. But when you find harmony, when you get into balance mode, those same forces work together. You become something like the calm performer. You're still ambitious, but you're also mindful and know when to recharge, or the visionary leader who has both clarity and empathy. And this quote really hits it home. Our inner division is mirrored in our outer conflicts. Basically, what we don't figure out how to balance inside ourselves, we just project out onto the world, usually without even realizing it. So this internal tug of war, it doesn't just stay inside, it scales up big time. Let's see how this exact same pattern plays out on a much, much larger stage. All right, section 2, the societal mirror. This is all about how entire nations can reflect our inner divide. Because that same pendulum swing we just talked about, that push and pull between active and receptive forces, yeah, you can see it play out in our societies and our political systems too. So our sources use this exact same framework to look at huge systems like capitalism and communism. They describe capitalism as being in a hyperactive mode. You know, it's all about individualism, competition, innovation. And its strengths are obvious. It drives incredible progress and personal freedom, but the weaknesses, social inequality, a huge ecological cost, and just constant pressure. On the flip side, communism is framed as hyper-receptive. The focus here is on the collective, on social justice, on security for everyone. And the strengths are real. It covers basic needs and fosters strong solidarity. But the potential weaknesses? It can limit personal freedom and risk economic stagnation. So what's the result? Well, it's imbalance, right? Just on a massive scale. One side is great at fostering innovation, but it can create deep divisions. The other aims for justice for all, but it can end up limiting individual freedom. And just like with that personal pendulum, these really one-sided systems create widespread tension and instability. At the end of the day, neither extreme seems to achieve a truly sustainable, healthy society on its own. So what's the answer? Well, the solution proposed in our sources isn't about picking a winner. It's about synthesis, creating a balanced system. It's about taking the best of both worlds. Imagine a system that has the social safety nets from the collective model, but also the drive for innovation and self-realization from the individual model. A system where success isn't just about profit, but about social and ecological well-being, and where an individual's success actually serves the entire community. It's about integrating their strengths, not getting stuck in their weaknesses. Okay, now we're going to take a major zoom out. Get ready for this, because this pattern of balancing opposites, it isn't just about us as individuals or about our politics. The sources we're looking at suggest this is a fundamental principle, something that's literally woven into the fabric of the universe. Let's start with psychology. The legendary psychologist Carl Jung was all about this. He talked about the anima and the animus, the idea that to become a whole person, you have to integrate both the receptive feminine aspects and the active masculine aspects of your psyche. It's the key to becoming a complete, balanced individual. And it's not just the mind, it's the body too. Look at traditional Chinese medicine. The entire concept of yin and yang is built on this. Health isn't some static state. It's the harmonious flow of yin, which is the receptive, passive energy, and yang, the active, dynamic energy. If that balance gets thrown off, that's what leads to illness. Okay, let's go even deeper, down to the microscopic level. In biology, you see this in what's called the key and lock principle. Think about it. Communication inside your body depends on this perfect fit between an active key, like a hormone, and a receptive lock, like a cell receptor. If they don't complement each other perfectly, basic life processes just don't work. And this might be the most mind-bending example of all: physics. Take light. Is it a wave or a particle? The answer is yes. It behaves as both a spreading, receptive wave and a focused, active particle at the same time. It's not one or the other. Its very existence is this union of opposites. The opposition is the reality. How cool is that? So, okay, we've gone from our inner thoughts to politics to the very nature of light itself. This is clearly a universal pattern. But the big question is, what does this mean for you, for me, right now? How do we take this huge cosmic idea and actually start applying it to our daily lives? Well, the good news is our sources give us some really clear, actionable steps. Step 1 is to foster dialogue, and that means creating a real space for open exchange where we actually listen to understand, not just to wait for our turn to talk. Step 2 is self-reflection. This is about recognizing that others are often a reflection of ourselves. The phrase here is if been do, or I am you. The idea is that the things that trigger us in other people are often pointing to something we need to balance in ourselves. And finally, step 3, take small, gradual steps. This isn't about some massive overnight revolution. It's about introducing change slowly, building trust by focusing on shared values like peace and stability. And this is so important to remember. The goal is not some rigid, perfect 50-50 splits. That's not what balance is. True balance is dynamic. It's fluid. It's about learning, moment to moment, when to be active and when it's time to be receptive. It's about creating a harmony that's flexible and resilient enough to handle whatever life throws at you. This quote just says it all, doesn't it? The time has come, not to divide, but to listen, to understand, to create together. That really captures the entire spirit of what we've been talking about. It's a call to move beyond division and toward a future we create in harmony. So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. Which opposing forces in your own life aren't really enemies at all, but are actually partners, just waiting for you to bring them into balance? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining us.